Somebody get Deshaun Watson and that woman out of here. All right. Welcome to the Browns postgame show via Moohead Radio. Unbelievable. And Derek is with me. Holy cannoli.
Yeah, y'all against drafting a kicker now? Y'all still upset about taking a kicker in the 4th round?
Oh, my God. I mean, first of all, there's no reason why this team should have been on the verge of losing.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's just like, and then I'll tell you honestly, and I'm seeing this being talked about. Radu's in there. There were 2 terrible roughing the passer calls in this game. I'll be honest with you. The guy threw the intended receiver to the ground well after the play, and that could have been called. If you keep the film running, watch it again, and they pass rushed and put pressure and pushed the tackle back into Brissett. And I don't know, because it got, his head or whatever, they call that a roughing, which is not a good call, any more than it was a good call, against Baker when he was in the end zone. He left his feet. There was nowhere for the defender to go except on top of him. But if you watch after that, the general player that Brissett was throwing to, the play was over and the guy came up behind the receiver and hammered him in his back and knocked him to the ground. So I'm adding double P and adding hammer time to our group of panelists. Unbelievable. I am like speechless, and for so many reasons, it's like, I wanted to sum it up by saying, well, somebody's O had to go, and it wasn't Baker. But, I'm not going to sit here and piss on Baker Mayfield. What I'm going to do is just say, it looked like 2 teams who don't know how to win. I mean, to be very honest with you, this is not a high level kind of thing. And there are some unsung heroes. Of course, we have the sung hero with Kade York. And what an incredible kick, 58 yards. How far would that kick have been good from, do you think, Hammer Time?
Oh, God, I don't know. I'm still trying. I'm glad I'm not wearing a heart monitor. That's all I can tell you at this point.
Yeah,
that thing would be beeping like crazy.
Derek, do you think that would have been good from 65?
Oh, he was making that regardless. I mean, I was watching. I'm sorry, my throat is shot from screaming.
I think we're all like that.
No Browns after dark, Eric?
There's I had to watch it through streaming online, and you know how that goes. So I was a little late. I knew he had already made it because I was listening to Jim.
All the fun away.
I was listening to Jim Donovan absolutely die on the radio, which good for Jim. I mean, what a moment. And Zagura in his first call, I believe, for the Browns' first regular season game. What a moment. But excuse me, sorry. I didn't see it till a little bit after, and man, when you talk about nailed it, it looked like it was sailing a little bit, and it came right back through with space, like you said. I mean, he had that kick.
Well, I'm sorry I'm reacting because the Bengals just shanked another field goal to win it in overtime. And
really?
I mean, he shanked it by 20 freaking yards.
Well, he was the guy who was just untouchable last year.
Or whatever, yeah. I mean, he missed the kick. He missed the extra point to send it to overtime. Could have won it. And now he just came up here, or McPherson. He missed it. Yeah. Oh, it's a good 5 yards outside. Yeah. He hooked it like me trying to hit a golf club. It was horrendous.
And DG, I totally agree. John Johnson III has cost us last year, and he's costing us again with his big mouth before the fucking games and his losing his coverage reads and giving up big plays. That guy has to be replaced. You know, what's really amazing is here's a guy who is a veteran who makes these blunders on the field, and yet what Derek and I were most afraid of was Emerson, and Emerson
I think he played well.
He played well.
The communication in the secondary is just absolutely abysmal. I don't
I
understand
know.
why 2 years in a row now, there's just always a big play. I mean, that 70-yard throw that Baker had, anybody, I mean, obviously nothing against Baker, but any quarterback in the NFL could have seen that coming wide open. That is just an indictment on our secondary, and the the lack of communication is just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, Derek, you were listening to the radio as well as I was because of the same issues here, and you heard them say they were in quarters, and the play call was the call that Carolina made, and just totally hoodwinked us.
And I thought they were going to do the famous thing that they did to Tim Couch, the double clutch. If you remember the double clutch spike that preceded Bottlegate. I thought that here we go again. I mean, it's been so many years. They're going all the way back to the beginning to figure out a way. But no, JJ has got a problem. And on that play specifically, Newsome had the coverage, and I don't know why he stopped running because there was no one for him to cover. I'm just not clear. I mean, it looked like they dropped into a zone defense. There was going to be no pressure up front. And I don't know what happened because Newsome let him pass through. And I don't think that should have happened because there was
he was supposed to follow him.
Newsome had nobody to cover.
Yeah.
And JJ ran up to the man who was in front of Newsome, and Delpit didn't drop back. So, I mean, and the same thing, DG, you're absolutely right. I mean, with the game on the line, he commits the personal foul. And, this goes on and on with this guy. And, but I digress. Obviously, and Schwartz actually made an important catch.
He caught two balls that were pretty good ones.
Yeah, how about that?
At first down.
He dropped a couple, but
And then the double reverse.
You know what? I mean, the one thing you can bet, he'll run out of bounds. All right. And the thing that's so funny about him is he gets the ball with all this head of steam and he's saying, "Cut back, you motherfucker, cut back." And he won't cut back to the middle of the field. And he just runs it out of bounds. So it's like, okay, I'll just take the 12 fucking yards. I'll take that. He's not going to fumble and he's not going to go, "Oh, my leg," or whatever the fuck he's going to do if he gets hit. But, and the other unsung, I said the sung first, and obviously Kade York deserves all the credit in the world, but Donovan Peoples-Jones, and I owe him an apology because, I questioned his ability, and every contested ball that was thrown to him, he came down with, including the one that really helped set up the ball right around midfield, where Brissett just kind of squeezed it into him, and every ball that hit his hands, he held on to. And no, he is not a solid number one. Let's be honest about this. When they tried to cover Amari Cooper, you saw the guy dragged him virtually to the ground and got a defensive holding call on him. They were doing what we said they were going to do before the game ever happened on Friday's show, which they were going to double Cooper. They weren't going to let Amari Cooper beat them. That's for damn sure. And they also were not going to make it easy for Jacoby to find his tight ends. They were, they figured that Njoku is, to the wide receiving core, one of the three receivers. We didn't see a ball thrown to David Bell. I saw him go in motion a few times. But this is, we're going to get into this about, I don't know if Cooper's really a number one. He's going to be double covered every week until, I got to be honest with you. The Browns would have scored 40 points if Deshaun Watson had played this football game. There's no question. It would not have been a competitive game at all with Brissett. You're going to come away with a lot of balls. If it made field goals, if you're fortunate, they're made. And he doesn't really score sevens in the red zone. This is the history of the player. We know what we have. The real question that I have, and I'm going to be, and I never do this. The play where he kind of had to run out of bounds and he couldn't outrun the defensive lineman. I mean, Jacoby Brissett's slow. He's moving van slow. And I'm wondering.
He's clunky. When you watch him drop back, it is not smooth. Not
at all. And he's got a strong enough arm, but he has no idea the touch to put on the ball down the field. It's underthrown, it's overthrown. He just has never thrown a good deep ball. I'm having the beginnings of a feeling that you're going to see Joshua Dobbs sooner as opposed to later. I just don't think that this team is going to be able to. And the damnedest part of it is we had at least 3 plays where a wide receiver was wide open.
Yeah.
Cooper a lot of times.
And again, I'm not calling.
I'm sorry.
What?
Pittsburgh just doinked the field goal to win it.
How far was the field goal?
222.
55 yards.
Yeah. He hit it square up on the upright.
They might do a tie like we did a few years ago.
I'm telling you. And then
Indy
had a chance to win it in overtime because the Texans basically did what we did today. They were blowing out Indy and basically gave up the lead or tied, let them tie it up. They had a chance to win. Indy had a chance to win it in overtime, and they shanked one right. Oh my gosh. I mean, this thing had plenty of leg. I mean, he could have hit this from 70 as far as he hit this thing.
Hey, by the way, I don't know if you saw, but TJ Watt has a torn pec. So
yeah, I saw him come out
really?
And holding his left shoulder.
So I don't know how long he'll be out, but I think that's pretty severe injury. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: how much time is left in the overtime?
2:22. The Bengals have it at their own 45.
Oh, so they're going to win.
Well, you would think
maybe.
so.
I mean,
Joe
Burrow hasn't looked the best.
Scrambled for 10 yards.
What?
Burrow just scrambled for 10 yards, the opposite 45.
Yeah, well, we know that they should win, and who's going to cry about the Steelers losing anyway? But the bottom line is for the Browns, what it looked like to me is whenever Chubb left the game, the running game went to hell. And this is not a rap on Kareem Hunt. It's just that Nick Chubb is godlike.
Yeah, he's the best.
Even if you hit him, he'll get 4 or 5 extra yards. It's no wonder he averages 5+ yards in his career. He just, you can smother him and still he falls forward. He breaks tackles. And he was basically in a quarter, out a quarter, in a quarter, out a quarter. So basically, Hunt had the reps. It's not that he didn't have the reps. I would have liked to have seen the ball thrown to Kareem a little bit more, but it was 90% humidity there. It was very, very humid. There were players getting IVs, and I know they wanted to keep Chubb strong, but, in the end, what I notice is when he's in the game, everybody works a little harder. He works a little harder. He gets extra yardage, and he has the ability to sense where holes are, whereas Kareem Hunt is more of a battering ram. Nick Chubb is a guy who sees creases before they develop. He has amazing vision. It is so underrated. And to have the unmitigated gall of putting him in the same tier as Najee Harris when you're on ESPN, they can suck my dick shaft all the way to the balls. Okay? I mean, what kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, this guy is elite. Like, best in the league elite. He can turn seemingly mundane plays into 16-yard gains. It's amazing. But when he's not in the game, we have a problem. We have a problem at quarterback because he's not mobile. That's one thing. And he doesn't appear to see the field particularly well. And eventually it's going to come down to the opportunities that you get, 3s versus 7s, whether you're going to have a chance to win on Sundays. And I'm just wondering at what point, if the receivers aren't open or whatever, if the running game isn't working, that Dobbs will be used in some situations because he is simply more mobile than Brissett. This offense is, it's the antithesis of a long ball, quick strike offense because the quarterback doesn't have accuracy. I don't think that Jacoby Brissett can throw a percentage long ball, even if the receivers are open. I think that Dobbs might well be more accurate on the short intermediate throws, and because he can't really throw the ball deep either. He's not a strong arm quarterback, but he might be able to make something happen with escapability a little bit. But this is going to be a challenge. And
I think you're right, Moo. That mobility adds a lot to Dobbs's game. As far as I just think, though, I think that the coaching staff in general just thinks Brissett, for all his faults as far as seeing people, as far as, being able to throw downfield, that he just is relatively accurate. He doesn't make a whole lot of, interceptions. That's because I don't think he just throws it that often, So.
Well, I let's not, if we're down
Next
big in the next 3
games,
games, if all of our players get cancer and die, let's just stop with that. That isn't the point. The point is, I'm here to try to analyze what I'm seeing initially, and these are a little bit more emotional. Tomorrow's show will be a little bit more, no references to sucking my dick shaft down to the balls. It will be something a little bit more thought out than that. But if Cincinnati and Pittsburgh are only this good, all right, every point you leave on the field, and we're proving that we have and this wouldn't have been an issue if Stefanski had kicked the early field goal. They've got to take points when they're available and stop this 4th down thing. I mean, even lining up and trying to throw the other team off for the fear we might jump off and lose 5 yards, and that could make a difference in the length of the field goal. I think we have to look at this team as any way you can get points. What now? Come on.
This game is nuts.
Oh, it's not over with yet.
This game is
it's going to be a tie.
No, Burrow goes back to pass, almost gets sacked, gets stripped. They end up picking it up and advancing it to where they end up getting the ball back. So he's right at midfield. They pick it up at the 50. They were where were they? They were inside. They got it almost back to the line of scrimmage. They lost about 3 yards on it. But
this is Keystone Cops. You're describing Keystone Cops.
This is his second fumble in the game. He's had 3 interceptions. One was a pick 6. One of my son's friends, who is an anti-Browns fan, basically says, "Oh, they're calling him down at the 50." But one of my son's friends, who is a Brown Buckeye fan, says that we teach him that at the Ohio State University. I was going to give LSU credit for that part of it, but I think Kansas City showed a little bit of what they could do to him. See, I understand why Cincinnati goes for it on 4th down, because they have that dynamic trio of wide receivers.
And Jamar Chase, want to talk about a guy who can contest and catch.
Yeah, I mean, they have Mixon, who is, behind both of our first 2 running backs, but he's a solid running back. But their first 3 wide receivers are better than anybody we got out there.
And it's Zach Taylor, too. Zach Taylor has never proven that he can coach a team to pull away and get a big lead and just blow people off the field. He makes a lot of things close, too.
Yeah, we can't afford to do that. We don't have the personnel groupings to just, I don't feel confident. Maybe Njoku and Bryant, catching a ball, but
I want to do something for DG because he's been with us for so long. Please put this as a soundtrack to the game. You too, Hammer Time. Fucking Benny Hill shit, man. It's all a bunch of fucking Benny Hill shit. First, as bad as the preseason is, bring it back because we're seeing really bad football. We really are. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's what happens when you don't play your starting quarterback at all in the preseason. Go figure.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I don't mean to rip on Jacoby Brissett. He is what he is, and he at least kept his composure enough to get us to the point where we had a chance with a 58-yard field goal. The thing that's so funny about this, in my mind, is I can't tell you how many times, and I'll do this, I'll do the whole announcers thing that leads up to how the Browns would lose. And a last-second field goal attempt, and this is going to be from 56 yards. Butch Davis, the Browns coach, calls a timeout on the sideline to make sure his players are lined up. And the kicker kicking this ball has never kicked a field goal over 48 yards. Here's the snap, the kick, good! And so, it was us this time. And you know who was wearing the face of, oh God, I'm getting fucked in the ass? Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had the same look that Butch Davis had on his face all those years ago. It's like, oh my God, I'm in Cleveland. You're in Carolina, buddy. That's where you are. You're a Panther. And you know something? Every one of you people who jumped ship, you're exactly. Panther fans now. You're Panther fans. Go for it.
And people don't realize how good of a situation Baker had in Cleveland with Nick Chubb and our O-line. If you looked at them, yes, it was Myles Garrett, but even from the inside and the outside, it seemed like Baker had no time back there.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. When I saw the look on Baker's face, Baker, you can't do it by yourself. That's one thing. Second of all, when you weren't looking, we got a kicker. All right. So it wasn't Chase McLaughlin coming on the field to try the 58-yarder. Okay. So things have happened in a positive vein since you left, my friend. Not necessarily good for you. And, I love the thing that sums up Baker to me. And I'm not going to sit there and badmouth him because, he made a couple of plays down the stretch and put them in a position to win the football game. That's his job. But you got to go back and check the tape out. I mean, the same thing that happened last year, and Derek is going to just go nuts when I say this, agreeing with me, is quarterbacks going back to pass at the goal line, and the quarterback has 30 yards to run right to the goal line untouched. It happened again. Baker just literally ran untouched in the middle. Nobody was accounting for the quarterback. That can't keep happening year after year.
But we've seen Baker do that before in Cleveland. So to think that he couldn't do that is kind of funny.
Yeah, but not only that, but I mean, we gave up quarterback sneaks, and they weren't sneaks, they were sprints from 14 yards away from the end zone and never got a hand on the quarterbacks. This happened several times last year. But the part of the play that defines Baker Mayfield in my mind, and forever will, he makes the big play by not throwing the ball, okay, and taking it down and running, crossing the goal line. He winds up as hard as he can and throws the ball into the stanchion, the goalpost. There's a guy standing right beside the stanchion, and the ball hitting him in the head by like less than a foot. The guy had no time to react. Now, wouldn't that have been great had Baker hit him in the face? Wouldn't that just be great in front of the Panthers fans? I mean, at the moment, it's always all about Baker. He doesn't think. It's like, you're in the end zone. Why are you winding up throwing the ball like that? It's like you're like a Ritalin child. Grow up. But to me, this will forever identify this player, and that's what he is. He can make the biggest play in the world, but he becomes so self-indulgent about it. He'd end up ripping some guy's face. I don't even know who the person was who was lined up by the stanchion there, but whoever it was almost took one in the face. I mean, unbelievable. So now I guess the Steelers are at midfield. Is that right, Hammer Time?
The Steelers have 8 seconds left. They just clocked the ball. They're about to line up for the winning field goal.
From how far?
What is it?
I want to say it's 50. They're inside the 40. Hang on, inside.
What are they doing?
I don't. They're the 35, and they're not going to. They're going to try to get more yards.
8 seconds. No. They're going to hope.
Okay, 5 seconds left. They're at the 35. So you got
52 yards.
52 yarder.
Who's their kicker?
Chris Boswell.
Boswell. Okay, he can kick.
If he can kick it straight.
No, the guy's got and that's the thing. He's in the middle of the field, right?
Hey, can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, my mic unplugged. I plugged it back.
Okay, go ahead. Hammer Time. Give us the play-by-play call.
All right. Well, here we go.
Yeah.
He's right in the middle of the field. We're lining up. Bengals do a little shift. There's a snap. Holds down. The kick is up. It's right down the middle. Steelers win.
Yinzer.
I knew it.
Well, I mean, hey, you get the ball, 3 interceptions. One was a pick six, 2 more fumbles recovered, 5 total turnovers, and you have to go to the last second of overtime to pull it out.
Now, somebody had to win this thing, but you know what's beautiful about it? I got something that I want to say. And I was talk about this in the halftime show, and people tune into this because it's an unpredictable post-game show. This one was for Mary Kay Cabot, okay? Mary Kay.
I think you said that wrong.
Isn't it Mary Kay Cabbage Head? Yeah, I know. But I want to go direct, right to the source here. You wanted that branch of Cincinnati.com and Cleveland.com to merge. You were pimping that. People, Browns fans, paying for a paywall, and you're actually on the site saying, here's how to watch streams of the Cincinnati game. Well, you got him. You got Zach Taylor. Go for it. It's pathetic. And I'd rather that Pittsburgh win because Cincinnati should be a better team and will be a better team when all is said and done. So let's put an L on them. Let's put an L on them and let's see Joe Burrow do his little dance. Yeah.
And plus, the Steelers are going to be without T.J. Watt now, so that's going to change things going forward.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing is the Ravens just decimated the Jets. I mean,
on 9/11 too. I mean, it's bad enough that jet planes were being crashed into towers. Then they had to destroy New York again. This is just wrong.
It could have been worse. A quarterback named Ahmed could have beaten them.
Hey, we're nothing if not culturally insensitive, are we?
Absolutely. I just want to say this. We are going to literally go for the bomb. God Almighty!
The Jets are terrible. They just.
Well, that's who we play next week, and we have a chance. We're at home and we're playing the Jets. We could be 2-0, and the Ravens, we know, will be the class of this, and even a quarterback who doesn't really give a shit whether he plays with the Ravens or not, who only cares about himself, he will. And it wasn't like the Jets were going to pressure him particularly anyway. What was the final on that? It was 24-3 with the last score flash I saw while I was watching the Browns game.
I don't know. I can bring it up real quick here.
Yeah.
While he's looking that up, did you see the Lamar Jackson contract that he rejected?
Yeah. I mean, they 200 and what was it? 250, 200 whatever, 50 million.
290 for 6 years.
290, but 133 guaranteed.
Yeah, 24-9 Ravens end up winning.
Yeah. And he wanted the whole cake for himself. He wanted the guarantee that Deshaun Watson got. And because we know his goal is, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire. And which is really thoughtful.
QB1 with a W over the Niners. I think Justin Fields, 1910. That's a big game.
Chicago beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
Surprise.
The freelance decade has begun.
Yeah.
The groovy movies. Stats. I feel compelled to say that Nick Chubb, 22 carries for 141 yards. Kareem Hunt, 11 carries for 46 yards. I mean, and the funny thing about McCaffrey, his greatest play of the game was on that, like the 16th fumble by Baker. And he picked it up and ran it. And it was like, oh God, it brought up bad spirits for me, you know? And it's like, God, when this shit starts working for them. But, McCaffrey only 10 carries for only 33 yards. The Browns did a good job of stopping the running game, which is what we talked about, what it would take for the, for the Browns to win. I picked the score at 23-20. It's 26-24, 2 points, 3 points. I knew this was going to be a close game. It shouldn't have been this close a game. The defense stopped concentrating at win time, and you're never going to be a winning football team if you can't really put your foot down when you have an opportunity. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 6 receptions for 60 yards. Kareem Hunt caught 4 balls. Other than that, Amari Cooper had 3 catches for 17 yards, and there were 2 big plays. Robbie Anderson, of course, the 75-yard touchdown pass for them. And then there was the 26-yard slant by Thomas. That was it for them that way, too. And Baker Mayfield, statistically, 16 of 27 for 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This is not unusual stuff. That's 60% completion, which is right what he does. Throwing a interception behind a receiver, elevated over everyone's head into somebody's hands. That's another one. I want to hear from Stefanski who fucked up, besides he's got to look at the tape and the film. I get tired of it. I want to know who's accountable, because, John Johnson, the 39th, is sitting there pointing on the sidelines, and it's like, let's blame whoever we can blame. And if that means Delpit is to blame. Somebody fucked up, but it's always 43 in the middle of it. So, Brissett does what he does. 18 of 34 for 147 yards, 1 TD, no interceptions. This is what he does, folks. This is how he has made a career for himself, which is just throwing short passes and not turning the ball over. So he has that going for him. But again, if you're looking at, he didn't even complete, he just completed basically 53% of his passes. It's not good enough. And Carolina's strength going into the game was their defense, not their offense. So, on all things said and done, Baker Mayfield with 4 fumbles and 4 recoveries. The one that could have been the absolute killer was on his own, 12-yard line, I'm remembering. And somehow the ball rolled back into his hands when he was on the ground. And I thought Baker Mayfield for 90% of the game was absolutely awful. Okay? Anybody who walks away from this game still believing that Baker Mayfield is the quarterback that the Browns needed all along, then you've lost your fucking minds. I mean, I understand he's working on a short time with a new system and a new team, and so is Jacoby Brissett. They were both in exactly the same position. Brissett didn't fumble the ball. He didn't throw an interception. Mayfield was mishandling snaps. There were all kinds of signs that he was just, and the only big plays that he made were primary reads that were open. And the slant for 26 yards, I mean, that was really a pathetic defensive situation. I don't know what Joe Wood's deal is, but if you watch that play again, they weren't going to put pressure on Baker, and they left the middle of the field wide open. And it's the same thing that happened when Baker scrambled for the touchdown. I don't know. Their idea, for some reason, of a zone is that everybody just turns their back on the quarterback. I mean, anyone could have thrown that slant because he was staring at his primary and there was nothing in front of him. There was no pass rush. There was no attempt to even try to pressure him. What the statistics won't say is that there were at least 4 balls swatted down at the line of scrimmage, which is something that we complained about with Baker Mayfield for the last couple of years. And this is a different team and a different situation, and it still happened.
Including the first pass, too.
Yeah, I mean, in the first half of the game, there were 3 or 4 batted balls. I mean, Clowney got one. I'm trying to remember what players just hoisted their arms up in the air, and he's just short. He's short, and when he's in the pocket, even if he's trying to throw outside, and eventually one of those passes was almost picked. I think it was Emerson who almost picked it, but the ball dropped to the ground before he could get to it. So, and again, Myles Garrett with 2 sacks, breathing hard again, and Koromoa had 5 tackles. John Johnson III had 7. God only knows that's not a positive, folks. Delpit had an interception. The only other sacks, a half a sack for Clowney, shared with Ronnie Harrison Jr., who got into the backfield in one play on a blitz, and Tommy Togiai got half of one also. So and so did John Johnson III. So that was the extent of that. You're looking at sacks, 4 sacks for the Browns defense. Demetric Felton, nothing much to talk about as far as anything. Kade York, everything. He accounted for 14 points in the game. What more do you need to know? And Bojorquez, with the exception of kicking that last punt, he just blasted it into the end zone. I don't quite understand why he didn't try to hang the ball, and that's what resulted in the following play, a 75-yard bomb. But he had a long of 56, 4 punts for 187 yards. And look at Hecker, 5 punts for 250. That a 61-yard long, that's a 50-yard average for Hecker in that game, punting the ball. So that's what that looked like. I still want to say something about Kade York, because it's, for a young player in his first game to be told you got to run out on the field now, and we're going to give you a shot at 58 yards. You're the only chance we've got. Kind of sounds like the movie Airplane, when Leslie Nielsen is, we're with you all the way, and poor Robert Hayes has to land the plane. That's what Kade York was thrown in the middle of. But I've noticed that when he hits the ball sweet, there's a little inward hook to it. And what they were saying on the telecast was that when he was kicking the long field goals in practice, he was hooking them left. Well, this one, it started a little bit right of the goalpost, and it just tucked perfectly in. I mean, it was a no-doubter. And when they showed it, just the kicker's reaction, he immediately, he knew. And all I can do, I don't kick footballs. I used to try to golf. And the few times I would actually hit a good golf shot, when you make solid contact or you're golfing, if you hit a drive and you get that sweet feel, man. And same thing when you really just knock an iron stiff. You just know. He had the look of a guy who knew that he hit that ball as well as he could. So
I was happy he hit the field goal that got us up by 23.
I just wanted to say good luck, and we're all counting on you. Thank you, Raymond Braun. The exact line from Leslie Nielsen. You gotta love it. So, Derek, you've been quiet. You have no voice?
I'm sitting here trying to recover for a minute.
I'll tell you. And I'm sitting there with Rocks, and and she's saying, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I said, they're going to lose. They're going to find a way to lose. And sure enough, Baker hits the long bomb touchdown, and then Baker runs in untouched and almost beheads a guy from his own, team, his own city. And it's like, we found a way to lose this game. We controlled 42 minutes of the game, and it wasn't enough. And she's like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. And finally, it's like 58 yards. She's going, come on, make it. And I'm looking at her saying, Rocks, almost 20 years I've been doing this freaking show, and it never ends good. And Topaz is like watching, and she's going, come on, make it. And Topaz is like, no. And I'm like, he hits the ball, and I'm like, holy shit. And unbelievable. Right through. I mean, just
I mean, you talk about memories. For this to be the first game of the season, you break the streak, the never-ending streak of losing opening games, and you win it in that way against. I know, it doesn't matter. Who cares? He's on a different team. But just the story. You beat Baker Mayfield. You broke the streak, and you did it with something that you haven't gotten since Phil Dawson and Kade York. Like, what a story.
Adam Wigley, what is this? My buddy in my Star Trek group sent me the link to this. This is a Cleveland Browns postgame show. But before you go, I just want to explain to you that this is a football show. Blast it. What's the matter with you, man? I'm just going to speak Star Trek to this guy so that we do original Star Trek around here. Fascinating. But Adam, thanks for dropping in. Live long and prosper. I'm sorry. I don't know why a Star Trek groupie would send you here, except maybe they think it's funny. I don't know. It's like, I should just keep doing Dr. McCoy. Blasted, we gave up how many points? We can't just keep losing games like this, Jim. Wait. That's Dr. McCoy giving himself a shot. Chill out, doctor. Oh, my God.
I'm just glad we didn't have to hear throughout the whole week, oh, the Browns lose after having the lead. The Browns are going to Browns. So I'm just happy we got a kicker in Kade York who won it for us.
Yeah, so Habita says, I said it to him because it's funny. Thank you. I mean, I like to think that it is always funny, and sometimes in a morbid way when we lose, and sometimes in kind of in a giddy way, like when we win in the last seconds like this. But, I could imagine Dr. McCoy on top, working hard on top of Uhura. I don't know. Boston, I can't get you a hailing frequency. Hold still. Yeah. Do you know there is going to be a new Star Trek movie? There is. It's not going to happen until next year. This thing has been put off and put off and put off. And I would imagine there will be no Chekhov because he checked out. But there is. Paramount now is talking about, that J.J. Abrams is going to do. They're all in and all on board. And, I will look forward to that because now they're all as old as the original crew was at the end of, it was like William Shatner dying in generations, I speak fluent Star Trek. Everybody is going to remember the name Kade York now. Man has made a name for himself just like that. Unreal. I honestly, my blood pressure went from about 200 down to normal when that kick sailed through. It was like, just like, no! Just breathe. Oh my God.
And
So-
there's no excuse why the Browns shouldn't win next week. So,
well, there's always a potential reason.
well, yeah.
You
but
pointy-eared hobgoblin. Oh, sorry.
still, I mean, you're playing a bad Jets team with Joe Flacco
Joe
I mean,
Flacco.
at
Well,
home. Get the
but-
job done.
Flacco probably didn't even get many reps at all during the preseason. And, you want to talk about a quarterback with no mobility. It's really a shame that they let pigeons into the stadium and they keep shitting on his shoulders. I don't know what
Didn't
that's
Joe
all about.
Flacco win a Super Bowl 10 years ago? Has it been 10 years now?
Yeah, and the Joe Flacco story that is of interest is he was the last Ravens quarterback who refused to accept the deal, so to speak, on his expiring contract, and actually played his last season under contract with them, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl, and so they ended up paying him a fortune because of that. So maybe that will happen for Lamar Jackson. I don't know. Who's to say? All right, this guy wants my take on how our 27 tight ends were pivotal in this win. All right, here we go. Well, in my honest opinion, Jesse James was the guy who stole the win for us. I have no idea. They were there to shut down. I mean, Harrison Barnes. I knew I was going to do that. Harrison Bryant, right? He let a ball go through his hands into his body that he should have caught that would have kept the drive going. And Njoku caught a meaningless ball going out of bounds. And other than that, it was just not a factor. They give them credit. Defensively, they did what they were physically capable of doing. They took away Amari Cooper and the tight ends. So they lived with the contested catches by Donovan Peoples-Jones, and that, and they knew that Schwartz would maybe catch one ball and do a couple end arounds, and that was it. So at least Matt Rule got that part of the game plan correct. The problem was that their rookie offensive lineman, the two plays in a row where Myles Garrett wasted him, the second one they had a chip on. And he blew by the chip guy. Somebody tell me how a guy can be the chip blocker and still get beat outside and the quarterback gets nailed. How is that possible? I mean, if their number 6 overall pick would have gotten just a piece of Myles Garrett going by, he would have been pushed further outside, and then all the chip guy has to do is just lay a pad on him, and he's out of the play. And instead, he beats two guys. And, and I'm not going to blame Myles Garrett for anything, because the passes that he completed, that Baker Mayfield completed, were primary reads, and he went back and he got rid of the ball. When he held on to the ball, which he did in the first half of the game, he looked like Baker. He looked like, and there was one play where he started rolling out to his right, and there was a bunch of defensive linemen running him down, a guy with some kind of a fucking tractor running him down. The last place finisher in the Special Olympics was running him down, and he just lobs the ball. I know that's insensitive. And he lobs the ball up in the air, and nobody gets it, but anybody coulda. He looked like Baker to me. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't have to piss on him. He just looked like Baker Mayfield. And the fans got a taste of Jekyll and Hyde. And believe me, the Panther fans are in no mood, after Darnold. They're not in a mood for this. And if you keep Baker a couple of years in Carolina, fans are going to be booing him.
Well, they already were today.
There was one. I wouldn't say it was a full-fledged boo, but it was like that grumble. Yeah, if this continues, look at yo, Adrian, we did it. I know. How long did it take? I mean, 19 years. Again, from this was when I started the show in 2004 till now, and we finally won an opener. And back then it was Jeff Garcia. And now it was Jacoby Brissett. I'm telling you,
17 years since we last won a home opener. I was 3.
A home opener, yeah. I mean, but overall, 19 years since we won our first game of the year. And 2004, that was Jeff Garcia. And it's really, hey, Lenny the cow! I'm convinced that Lenny, he gave some of that good karma to Kade York. Damn. I love it. I love it when the cows come back to pasture. Okay, now we're getting some quotes from Kevin Stefanski. Thank you, Hector. Whether he had words with Baker Mayfield after the game, I did not. He fought like crazy, like he always does. Wait till you see him with his wife after the game. At any rate, nobody is gonna. You don't kick a horse when it's down, and Baker, he has to talk to the press, and when he does, he'll have to acknowledge that he played poorly, and he put them in a position to definitely lose the game, and he tried to get him back in the end, but it was just too little too late. And you just can't play one quarter of a football game in the NFL and win. And when you look at a box score that basically is 0-7-0-17, you play one, you get a little bit hot, you get things, the defense kind of folds and kind of goes back on its heels. You got to play 4 quarters to win. So, the TV said the last time was Vinny Testaverde, and no, it was Jeff Garcia. Take my word for it. I've lived this nightmare, my friend. And here's a happy fan. The Bengals lost, and Mary Kay Cabot. It's like, damn it. Damn it. But was it Burrow's fault? Damn it. It's like, every time I try to cheer for a team, their kicker's drunk. Yeah, thank you, Mary Kay Cabbage Head. Wow. Oh, Vinny, according to Can Ken Make It, was the last away opener. I got you. I don't know. Somehow you get the feeling that the people in Carolina weren't all that despondent, because both of these teams, these franchises, are so used to losing. It's like, well, we got to pick it up and head on next week. And that's it. Yeah, I did, Rubber City. Yeah. Why he didn't kick the 3 points early in the game. I mean, this team needs every point it can get. And that's why I remember, when he didn't do it, and I remember these plays. I mean, Brissett goes back and he hurriedly throws the ball that had no chance of being completed. The guy was covered like a blanket on the sidelines, and there was no way. And that was the play call that they came up with instead of kicking the surefire chip shot when you use a 4th-round pick on a kicker.
That reminds me, what did you think about our center? Because I kind of think we need a starting center.
Posick is I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did. I mean, I didn't even hear Hudson's name. I heard Teller, held. They said he held, but when they showed it in slow-mo, it's like, damn, that's ticky-tack. That was
Hudson
ticky-tack.
Struggled a little bit, especially Hudson. When they lined up Brian Burns against Hudson, it wasn't pretty, but for the most part, he held his own. A lot better than last year. I'll say that.
And listen to this. Jacoby battled his butt off, and that's what he does. I thought his ass is still pretty big. Just saying.
Looked like
that's what he was trying to haul around the left end of the field while defensive linemen were running him down.
He's like Big Ben without the arm.
On Kade York's game-winning field goal, good draft pick by Andrew. but there have been others. Like the absence of a wide receiver. Everybody after the fact, would say, yeah, we should have we should have kicked the field goal early in the game. I was livid. I turned to Rox and I said, I swore I wasn't going to scream at the television screen. What I wanted to do was get a firearm like Elvis would have done and just blown the fucking screen out. Like, thank you very much. And that would have been the end of it. But I was so pissed off. It's like, you just drafted a kid 4th who's a kicker, and you're not going to let him kick. What's the point? This is what you did with Chase McLaughlin last year. Why? It's really annoying. And yeah, there is that deja vu sense that, the game plan is what the game plan is. The one thing I will say, for the most part, except when I saw, there were a few times when Jacoby got the irritated face because guys were not lining up properly. But other than that, there wasn't the total incoherence that there was in the final week of the preseason. There wasn't that. So we didn't kill ourselves with penalties, but, and again, this is what the numbers add up to. Jim Giles, you're right. It's 217 yards rushing. And without that, we don't win the football game. And we know that about Jacoby Brissett. This is what it is. And the thing, Wable, I get you, but I'm sure if I asked Jacoby Brissett, he has no faith in you either.
That's one way to put it.
It has absolutely, whether we have faith in these people, they're going to play. He's going to play. That's all there is. And we have to sit here and kind of take it. And, I read something that's really terrible. Jenna Jameson, who the oft mentioned through the years, former porn star, Moohead Radio, would you, to explain how Jenna Jameson's name is inextricably tied with the history of this program, it would be like a fighter like Frank Bruno from England who got knocked out in every important fight that he had. Wow, he went down quicker than Jenna Jameson, ... Okay? And I read that she is got some kind of a medical condition and she is having trouble walking, and they haven't been able to identify, and this ain't a joke, this is true. And, and they thought they knew what it was, but now they don't know what it is. And, mothers, don't let your daughters grow up, with 12-inch monsters going up the ass. It can have spinal repercussions later in life, maybe, So is this definite? Spinner Dave. Spinner Dave.
Yeah.
I laugh when I hear Spinner Dave. No, they're not leading you out now with handcuffs, are they, Dave? Dave has to get his news in early before the cops take him away. Is he out for the season for sure?
I've seen that being reported, yes, through some Steelers websites or Twitter pages.
That's a kick in the nutsack.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and it's nice to know that there are people who watch the same cinema that I did when I was younger. Wasn't that a fast food seafood restaurant? Never mind. You see, this is how I keep my male audience engaged, Greg. little porn mention, just snap people into place, and that's it. Jeff and Bama, another long-suffering Browns fan. Some of us old cows remember the last opener on a win on the road. So nice to finally get another one. That's right, Jeff. Love you, buddy, and hope everything is going well in your life. But a great old-school Moohead viewer, and been around a long time. And Spinner Dave is saying, yes, it was officially announced. And Peck has an OK in it. Peck is short for pectoral. P-E-C. He's from Kentucky. Leave him alone. All right. Yeah, and yeah, that's the most amazing part. We're fucking 1-0. You know, we could actually go through a whole week and say, wow, we made it. You know, that's what they should have. If this game were to have been in Cleveland and that kick would have gone through from 58 yards.
Oh my gosh.
Over the loudspeakers, you would have heard disbelief. You would have heard silence from the fans because they would have left in the third quarter. But you would have heard silence from the fans, but blaring through the speakers, Barry Manilow, looks like we made it. Yeah. That's what would have been blaring through, you know, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Spinner Dave has a sense of humor about it, you know? The U.S. Marshals. Oh, God. But, hey, this was fun. This was fun. So, if I Double P, one thing that you take away from this game.
That's going to be a long season.
Hey, it's one game shorter, though.
Yeah. Or at least until Deshaun comes. But I really think that...
Until he comes? No.
Hasn't he done enough of that?
Until he returns against the Texans.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that we got a win because, I mean, football's back, and what a game to get right back into the groove of things.
And the announcers were getting so chirpy. Yeah, they were like, they were on a Baker high, you know? It was like, you could just like Mr. Burns, you know, that you could see the network people in the league, just festering. It's like, we're going to get it. The Browns are going to lose. And then we make the field goal, and it's like, that just ruined. I mean, could you imagine Roger Goodell choking on a tortilla chip when that thing went through? I just want to say fuck him and the horse he rode in on, too. I don't... and fuck anybody who is sitting here condemning Deshaun Watson still, calling him an absolute criminal. Because I want to point one more thing out about how unjust the league is. I don't know if you know this, but part of Deshaun Watson's punishment is that he has to have counseling. But reinstatement is not guaranteed. He has to do what he's told, but he has to continue to have, you know, evaluations. The league is going to, for the rest of his life, hound him. And all these guys in the league who beat women up, you know, I mean, beat their children up, Adrian Peterson, you know, Ray Rice knocking people out, you know, Kareem Hunt kicking women on the ground. And there's countless, too many. Not one of those people, not one of them ever had to go to counseling. This guy has to go for the rest of his fucking life, and his job depends on it. That is un-American. That's un-American. I'm sorry, your employer can't force you to seek counseling. Now, it would be a very smart move on Deshaun Watson's part if he cleaned up his act and he utilized psychology and sociology and therapy to find out why he was behaving like this. But to make it a condition, I am all in with Deshaun Watson. It was the right decision. If you watched today's game and you saw Baker Mayfield, you know that it was the right decision. And I don't care if you're a Republican or if you believe Donald Trump or if you believe Joe Biden hasn't lost 3/4 of his frontal lobe. I don't care what the fuck you believe or what make-up stories and what kind of, rumors that you can bring up. And, it's obvious. It's in your face. You saw the real Baker Mayfield, and you're going to see him throughout the season. He's not going to be able to elevate that team. And with Matt Rule at the helm, blast it, Jim. You should have killed the Klingon. Matt Rule isn't going to lead you anywhere. And when you see Deshaun Watson play, you're going, no. Because when those receivers do have a little separation, the ball's going to be put in their hands. And you're going to see his eyes darting all over the field and finding people. And you'll see more than tight ends being looked at. You're going to see, opportunities arise for other people. And it'll be great because hopefully by that time, maybe David Bell will be able to get some reps and Schwartz will be in a body cast. And we can have people who can actually get open and catch the ball. But I really seriously believe that this was the right thing to do. The timing of it is unfortunate. The way everything was played out, in the media, just as unfortunate. But there can be no question about the caliber of quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson versus Baker Mayfield. And the press has been trying desperately. And they keep calling him former franchise quarterback, Baker Mayfield. And it's like a playoff win. We'll see if he's a franchise quarterback. We'll see. And I'll compare him with Deshaun Watson every day of the week. They did the right thing. The problem is the player didn't do the right thing, and he's serving punishment that he deserves. And when he does come back to play, I don't know how ready he's going to be, but even him not ready is better than Jacoby Brissett, okay? So there you have it. And Derek, if you had to put this game into one final thought, what would it be?
Got to learn how to finish, I think they can take a lesson from Deshaun Watson. No, I'm sorry. I
knew you were going to go there.
I didn't want to, but I had to. I mean, come on.
Can you see postage? The center going, what's that worm shit on my back?
Oh, my God. Oh, no, but seriously.
You better have spit on my back, Deshaun. You better.
17 points in the fourth quarter is unacceptable.
Yeah, you're not going to win football games very often doing that.
And that's what I mean. It's funny to say it, but that's the reality. We got to learn how to finish. And I think offensively, you got to learn how to compensate for Jacoby Brissett's lack of ability. Find creative ways to run the football. Find ways to make it easy for him. It's
the
easier
defense
said than
has
done,
to play like it played for 3/4 of the game, and has to maintain its coverage, has to read things properly, and has to get in the face of the quarterback. And it's just, even if they don't sack, pressure. And, but if they're going to leave gaping holes open like that, I mean, my goodness, Lamar Jackson will just hop with one foot through that. I mean, we going to have a real problem if we don't start figuring out how to play goal line zone defenses. It's really bizarre, but whatever it is, Joe Woods isn't teaching it to anybody. So that makes it confusing. As for me, I'm just happy we're 1-0. I'll be back again tomorrow on Moohead Radio with more talk about the Browns and the Guardians and the Cavs, but it will be Browns, man, because that's what everybody is going to be talking about for the rest of the day today and tomorrow when they go to work. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the post-game show. We'll be back again with regular Moohead Radio, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.